much. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
Let me start with you, Nick. The UK deciding that what they call it that it's not like an all-out open participation in this escalating situation in the Gulf. But what does that say of its relationship in terms of allies with the US and Israel?
Thank you very much for that question. I think in terms of diplomatic engagement, it depends on how much of this war planning had allies on board. The question is, the likes of the UK, were they involved? Was it a joint decision, or this is just the United States with this, on the spur of the moment, going on ahead to strike Iran? Because don't forget, the United States and Iran were around the table in talks. So how did it not end up with strikes? So one thing we must understand is that war is very expensive, not only in the financial and material cost, but also human lives are lost in war. And also the fact that Starmer, the British Prime Minister, is not having it easy at home as well. So a war is not what he's going to jump into, embracing it with both hands without watching the mood of the people. Because let's not forget, before now, he has been under fire and his position has continuously been threatened as a result of not himself directly related to the Epstein scandal or files, but that the fact that he appointed an ambassador to the United States who ended up being a very close ally of Epstein. So given all that, I'm not surprised with the approach that the British Prime Minister is taking at this time. And I think that what he's doing now is perhaps the best he can do, given the whole situation surrounding this current exercise in the Gulf against Iran by the United States.
Okay, AGK. Okay, so limited defensive strikes. But then that doesn't say limited partnership or relationship, as the case may be. But then we do understand what Nick has said, because Starmer has a situation in his own terrain that he wouldn't want to affect his political future. But at the same time, we know what's happened since this whole situation started, how Iran has somewhat, yes, targeting US locations in these different countries that are its neighbors, yet these different countries have had, how do you call it, collateral damage owing to this. So how would this work out at the end of the day?
Are you asking me?
Yes, AGK.
Well, thank you for having me. This is, excuse my voice, this is a case of medicine after death. America planned this stuff, America did it. Americans' action is subject to interpretation, and we are all entitled to those interpretations. But what matters is that, if the UK is not going to be agreeing with Iran or whomever, whether this is a seven-phase gesture, we don't know. The point is, the supreme leader wasn't very supreme. He was killed within hours of this thing happening. It was even like Saddam Hussein that it took months, and what is the other guy for the 9/11 that took years. So my point is, countries should now begin to look at themselves, at their own capacity, especially when you get on the global stage and you're wagging your fingers at somebody who is going to bite it and bite it off effortlessly. And so whether it's limited or whether it's an open-ended invitation, we're going to wait and see what happens. This is not a war. There are not American soldiers in Iran. This is a demonstration of superior air power, and that air power was enabled because of the carriers that are positioned around to take off and like you say in Nigeria, make you go show them. You show them. if you want to cry, keep crying. The point is that America has shown that they are superior power in the world. Not even China, that depends on Iranian oil, could even foresee this thing coming. If China is all that, how come China didn't get in there before America did what it is, or even Russia? So let's just move on. I said we're hoping that this sort of thing doesn't happen again, but it has happened. You know what they say? Just do it.
Mm.
The Nike logo, just do it.
Just do it. Okay.
And then we did it.
Okay. All right. So this is done. But at the end of the day, we're looking at the impact of this. Oil prices are going up right now and approaching at over $80 per barrel as we speak, as we're having this conversation. At the time I checked, at about 1 or 2 p.m., it was about $80 per barrel. I don't know what the situation is right now. So if we're going to go by that, there are those who are arguing that this is, as AGK, you have said, this is not a war. This is a demonstration of superior air power. But some other people say this is a case of propaganda. No outright war is going on here. Where do we go? Nick, you want to win before AGK comes in?
Yes. So when it comes to oil prices, Nigeria is in a position where it's like a double-edged sword for us. Because on the one hand, the budget funding for the budget is going to improve. And by the way, I checked oil prices shortly before we came on, and the oil Brent, which is a type of crude oil, is now trading around the $77 range.
Okay.
So obviously, as the war is ongoing and is looking like it's going to be a walkover, the markets will recover and then there will be stability. But if it was looking like it was going to be an all-out bloody war, of course, oil will be touching $90 by now. So the Nigerian benchmark price, the 2026 budget was $64. So this is good news for Nigeria that we are now selling $10 above what we budgeted. So on the fiscal side, that is good news. But then, and in fact, this has been the issue in Nigeria, because you ask the government people, they will tell you that we are doing well in terms of foreign reserves, in terms of inflation coming down, in terms of forex exchange rate stability. They tell you about those macroeconomic indices, and they are looking good, which is true.
Okay.
But if you ask a typical Nigerian, how is your life going? He's going to tell you that his transportation.
Okay.
Sorry?
Nick, I'm sorry. I really have to interrupt you because we need to get AGK to win for 30 seconds because we're out of time, gentlemen. I'm sorry. President Trump took much of our time. We would have had more time. But AGK, let's look at how all of this is affecting regional stability in the Middle East and international diplomacy. Propaganda and outright war, air power, whatever. 30 seconds, please, AGK.
If men were angels, there wouldn't be need for politics. Okay, so men are not angels. We are not angels. You're gonna have propaganda, and there's no end to it. In terms of oil prices going up, it's very unfortunate that with stuff like this happening, Nigerians keep to start beating their chest. The most time Nigeria ever made money in oil revenue was when Obasanjo was there. I think it was something like 72 billion or something billion because of the Gulf War thing. The stability in the region is like an earthquake. It's gonna come and it's gonna go. What matters is in our countries to now focus on their own internal capacity and take advantage of whatever it is they can take advantage, because it's not going to be for a long term. This may be in a short spike. For those of us that live in America, some politics or some statements makes it the stock price go boom, go down, up and down. It's always that up and down stuff. So the point is, hey, over the weekend, everybody was glued to the TV and the news and saw what happened. We got to look ahead. Things about life is the future, not the history.
All right.
Somebody was talking about how Iran is, 5,000 years ago, has been around for 5,000. I've always said it's not how long you've been around, it's how well you are. America is the youngest country of all these countries, younger than China. But guess what? Like we say in the tech is, like we say in Texas, if you got the stick, don't hesitate to use it.
All right.
So we whack them and they're not feeling it.
All right, thank you so much. Nick Agule, the public affairs analyst, joined us from London. And we also had AGK Okpa, global affairs analyst from Dallas, Texas. Thank you, gentlemen.